Good afternoon, folks. This is going to be one of those heavy Games Workshop stories, I'm afraid. So I won't be doing any sort of endorsements or anything like that. Ads are running on the video because they run on every video, but aside from that, I'm not going to plug any sort of Patreon or anything like that because it doesn't seem to be appropriate for our subject matter. I was asked the other day to go into mental health within the hobby and talk about that for quite some time. And whilst I think that's a really good idea, I also think that it would be good to sort of intersperse it with a story that happened to me whilst I was at Games Workshop that I think is actually quite poignant to what we're talking about. Again, this is going to be a quite heavy subject, don't get me wrong, and I think it's an extremely important one to go over. So, Poops McGee, thank you very much for suggesting this. This is a really good suggestion, and one I think that, if you're on Patreon, you can send me some stuff, and I will definitely go over it. And this has been one of those really good suggestions. So let's go over it, shall we? So first of all, I'd like to just talk about the story and go through it. It's not a very long one, quite hard hitting though, so trigger warning there. And then we'll go into my advice and what to do about mental health within the hobby, and if you're struggling with any sort of issues of self-harm or anything to that effect. So, when I was working at my Games Workshop store, I was not a manager at this time. I was a staff member at the local Games Workshop, and I'd been working there for about 6 months at this time, and I'm getting along great guns. I'm getting to know people, they're getting to know me, I'm selling stuff, and my KPIs are doing quite well. I had a nice Christmas bonus, things are going okay. And for the first time in a while, I'm not living hand to mouth in terms of my rent. I actually pay my rent, and I have a little bit left over to go and get some models or do whatever I want with. Mainly because of the Christmas bonus, but there we go. I still attest that if you work at Games Workshop and you are paying rent, you won't have enough money for anything else, let alone the hobby. But anyway, I digress. So, there are a few people who come into the store who are oddballs. I mean, everybody knows them. If you've gone to a Games Workshop store or any hobby store, you've come across some oddballs in your time. You've come across some people who don't quite seem like they fit, or seem like they have a few ticks here and there, shall we say, in terms of odd behaviours. And our subject matter is no different. He's a man called Simon. And Simon is in his, I would say he's in his early 30s. He's a very quiet metalhead. Comes in, he's quite skinny, shoulder length black hair, not a bad looking guy, normal looking guy, nose piercing, wears band t-shirts, just a lot, just a normal guy, a bit of a metalhead. And he comes in and he is very quiet. And he challenges people to games in the store. And nothing more is said about this guy in terms of, does he stand out? He doesn't. He fades into the background. And it was only later on that we realised that his fading into the background might have been quite on purpose. So he comes into the store, and I wouldn't say he's part of the main core group of friends there. 1 second. Still shrugging off that cough. I wouldn't say he's part of the main group of friends there, but he orbits around them. They all know who Simon is, you know what I mean? He doesn't go out with them, he doesn't really do anything with them, but they all know who he is and what he does. And one day, on a Tuesday night, our manager's gone, like he's gone home early, because of course he does, because he doesn't do any work. So I finish up what I'm doing, and Simon is hovering around with his Dark Eldar army, looking for someone to play. Now, Simon's Dark Eldar army is a very nicely painted army. I would go as far as saying it's probably one of the best Dark Eldar armies I've ever seen painted. It was pitch black, but toned up with a bit of grey, and then dry brushed with Ulthuan blue. It just looked stunning. It looked like it just popped on the table really nicely. And it was no frills. That's what I liked about it. He didn't throw on loads of detail like they do in the heavy metal pictures. It was just, these guys looked like statues. They looked so beautiful, and I just adored his army. Anyway, we played a game. We played 2 games. One was 1,000 points. The other one was 1,500 points. And my shift finished, at the end of our first game, which he won. And he won quite handily, actually, against my Grey Knight. So I was like, okay, cool. Do you want to play another one? And he said, yeah, sure, because I'm going to be staying around anyway. So I played him again, and this time I ground out a really close win. Really fun games. Shook his hand at the end of it, and didn't think anything else of it. You know, he was just a nice guy. Coming to the store, bit of a quiet one. It is what it is, right? So, in the coming weeks, Simon actually doesn't come back to the store. He goes quiet on social media, doesn't really say anything. He's gone. He's not there. He's not in the store. We don't know where he is. We don't know what he's doing. So, one day on the way home from work, I go into Sainsbury's just to get some stuff. I can't remember what it was, beers or something, and alcoholic. You know, I'm kidding. But anyway, I go into Sainsbury's and I'm there and I'm scanning things through at the self-checkout machine, and I get a tap on my shoulder. I'm thinking, oh, I've got to get my ID out for for buying some beer at the self-checkout. I look up and there's Simon standing there. I'm like, oh, you alright, mate? How's it going? He's like, yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, how are you? And I'm like, yeah, fine. And we got talking for a few seconds. 1 second. I'm gonna sneeze. There we go. Sorry. Yeah, big sneeze. And yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm fine, dude. Yeah, no worries. And we get talking, and eventually he's like, look, don't know if you know, but I'm getting out of Space Marines. Would you like to buy my Land Raiders? Because I'm a bit short on cash lately, and it'd be a great help. Do you want to buy a Land Raider off me? And I thought the way that he asked this and the way that he approached me was a bit weird. So I was like, no, because I honestly didn't need a Land Raider. I'm a Grey Knight player, so I was like, no, I don't need one. But I can give you the number of a guy who does. My co-worker. He loves Space Marine tanks. He collects them all the time. And so I give him the number, and Simon thanks me. He says, oh, cheers, mate, yeah. And he leaves. And I think this is a really odd interaction, but I let it go. Like, I don't really chase it down. It's just one of those things that I just think, okay, fair enough, whatever. It's what it is. Now, for ages, Simon has struck me as... And I'm not sure whether this is confirmation bias, but Simon has struck me as someone in this time where there's something going on. There's something under the surface that I'm not seeing. Have you ever had that feeling where you talk to somebody and you just... There's something there. It's not off-putting. It's just this, there's something going... You know what I mean? There's something extra to this person that I'm not seeing, that he's keeping to himself. But I let it go, because I don't want to be, like, presumptuous or anything like that. Anyway, about a week later, I'm working in the store, and one of our regulars, Paul, comes in, and a bit crestfallen. He walks over to me, pulls me aside, and says, listen, I don't know if you've heard, but Simon, unfortunately, a few days ago, took his own life, and was found by his mother in his room at at home. Now, I think about Simon a lot, because it's one of my guilty things. Like, I think maybe I could have done something, because I definitely sensed something was up. Even then, even when he was offering to sell his Land Raiders and stuff, I felt something was weird, something wasn't quite right, but I didn't think it was my place to go in there and just start... That's not your computer, by the way, it's mine. I didn't think it was my place to go in there and just start saying, hey dude, let me sort out your life for you. We British people are not that way inclined. We just, those of you who are British, you'll know. Those of you who are not, I'll tell you, we are not the type of people to get involved in each other's business. And unfortunately, it can lead to tragic consequences, and I still feel a little bit, not responsible, but like, I could have done something to pull this guy out, and I didn't. And that's mine. That's my thing to bear. That's no one else's. I'm just getting that out there. Like, it sucks. But Simon doing that was a bit of a wake up call, because a lot of the guys in that store were in their 20s and they were living with their parents, because at this time in life, in this time in the world, buying a place, renting a place is extremely hard, and you need to start paying exorbitant rents and fees and council tax and all this sort of thing before you can even get a roof over your head. People are being priced out of actually being able to live, which is incredible when you think about it, but there you go. And so I think it hit home for a lot of guys in the store that this literally could have been me. That what is different from this guy's life and mine? That's a scary thought when you think about it. You know, what is Simon's taken his own life, but his life is very similar to mine. Like, what? Why is he gone and I'm still here? And it did prompt a lot of soul searching in the store. And for me, I'd like to move on from the story because that's the story I want to go over. There was no punchline. There's no funny business. It's just that was just a shitty time at my time working at Games Workshop. Now, let me talk about mental health for a few minutes. Do you know when they say go to somebody? It's kind of bullshit because it's not as easy as that. Go to somebody is something that people who don't have depression say. You know, it just is. And only by doing therapy have I come to understand that. You know, because my therapist has literally told me, just no, don't say things like that to somebody who's got depression because it's going to make them feel shitty because they can't. They can't go to somebody, right? That's what depression is. It isolates you. It takes you away and puts you in a little box in your brain and makes you sit there and think about how terrible of a person you are. That's not the way to get over it. And when I say get over it, you know what I mean? Like, that's not the way to start the recovery process. The only way to start the recovery process is through very, very small baby steps. You know? It's one of those really horrid things in that if you have depression and you're in the hobby, I actually think weirdly you're in a position where you can start affecting positive change when it comes to mental health. You are surrounded by people who want to help you, for the most part. You're surrounded by people who want to have a laugh with you about something that you like. You know? And the one main thing I want you to take away from this, because I could sit here and give you all of the spiel of, you know, one step at a time, talk to one person at a time, go out there and just, even if you don't feel like doing it, one thing I have said is that people who get results do things even when they don't feel like doing it. And that comes a lot with your body, right? I know a guy who his mindset is, his name is also Paul, his mindset is, I never feel like doing anything because of depression, but I do it anyway. I just grit my teeth and do it and I suffer through it. And eventually, he says, once I get like 40% of the way through my day, my depression breaks. It sort of gives up. And my endorphins start flowing and my positive hormones start flowing. Then all of a sudden, I'm not cured, but I'm a lot better and I'm on an even keel. Right? And I think depression's very much, very, very, very similar. The only way you can break that cycle is by gritting your teeth. People saying just let it go and just like get on with it are saying it in the wrong way. They're giving you the right advice, but they're giving you it in the wrong way. You should understand and know that this is hard, incredibly hard for you, but gritting your teeth and doing it anyway eventually leads to you breaking. It's like putting hot water on sunburn. Eventually, it stops hurting. Even if it stops hurting for just that day, you get up in the morning, you go for a run, you go to the gym, you go and do some work on the computer, you go and talk to somebody. No matter what it is that's hurtful, that you don't feel like you want to do, as soon as you start doing it, a couple of hours in, you're not on an even keel, you're not just right, but you're a lot better than the way you were. Baby steps, ladies and gents. That's the main way to do it. That's the main way to break through this, is baby steps. That is my advice anyway. That's what's gotten me through quite a lot. I relied on exercise a lot over the summer. I've toned that down a little bit, so now I'm doing like once every couple of days rather than like obsessively doing it every day. But still, it helps me. You know, going for runs helps me. Going for walks helps me. Writing helps me. There are some times, and here's the last thing I wanted to leave you with. Throw away the guilt. The guilt is weighing you down. It's like a big old siphon around your neck. It's pulling you down all the time. You're never going to get anywhere with this if you keep focusing on that guilt. Guilt is the main killer. It's the thing that stops you from doing the things you want to do. It's the reason why I only really play video games late on at night. You know, I've done this in therapy. We always say, why don't I play video games during the day? Why don't I play them in the afternoon? Why don't I play them in the evening? Because I feel guilty. Because I could be doing something else. Right? I feel it's my self-worth, it's my depression talking. Saying, you're not good enough to play video games at the moment. You need to be working, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that, right? Whereas, in reality, it doesn't matter if I've done no work that day. If I've gotten out of bed that morning, and I've faced life, and I've actually tried to improve myself in some way, and I want to write, or I want to play video games, I should just do that. I should just do that. Because, at the end of the day, it's about breaking that cycle. And for me, relaxing and doing that stuff and switching my brain off is a hard thing. It's a hard thing to do, but I tell you what, once I've done it for an hour or two, I feel so much better. That's my advice anyway. Little baby steps and start breaking the cycle. Anyway, if you want to know anything else or come to me with anything else, come on the Discord. It's down there below. The Patreon's down there below as well. You can message me on there. I don't think you need to give anything to me to message me on Patreon. And I actually receive the messages, like, I respond to them a lot quicker than I do on Discord, because there are a lot less of you on Patreon than there are on Discord, which is, yeah. So, like, it's easier to do it that way. I don't think you need to give anything to me to do so, so don't worry about it. And if you do, then I apologise, and I'll try and fix that if I can. Anyway, come to me with anything. Come talk to me. Let me know. Love you all long time. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your Thursday, and I will speak to you tomorrow for some more normal Hobby Nightmares. See you then.